Well, hello everyone. First of all, welcome to Halt's current student and alumni panel event. Let me just start introducing myself for those who don't know me right now. My name is Riyad Farahad. I'm actually currently based in Hong Kong. I work for the Asia Pacific Enrollment Office. And just like our panelists tonight, I also graduated from Halt in 2017 from the London campus. Now, if you're joining us tonight, also, of course, this means that you are interested in studying your master's or MBA abroad next year, right? Now, therefore, tonight actually, I think, is an amazing opportunity for you to hear out from our current students, doing the MBA or master's, and hear about their student life at Holt and in their respective, let's say, campuses. But also, you will learn from our recent graduates about their job search strategies, and that way you can take some questions. Now, just so you know, our session will last approximately around 50 minutes, and we will have enough time for a Q&A session, okay? So where you can actually directly ask question to our panelists. So when that happens, feel free to either turn on your video or just unmute yourself. Or if you just want, you can also add your question in the chat box, and then I'll be the one, let's say, asking it out loud for our panelists. All right. So now I would say let's move to the part that you're all waiting for, right? Let me introduce you to our panelists one by one first. So joining us today actually is Masaki Saito. He's actually currently in Boston campus doing his MBA. Masaki is actually from Japan. So Masaki, would you like to unmute your mic and maybe say hello to our audience?
Okay. Hi everyone. My name is Masaki Saito from Boston. Nice to see you all. Konnichiwa.
All right, thank you. Well, also next to Masaki is actually Masaki's classmate, Pawarisa Padibud. Actually, Pawarisa is from Thailand, and she is an MBA student as well for the Boston campus. Pawarisa, I hope it's not too early for you right now in Boston. Maybe can you unmute yourself and say hi?
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Pavirisa Padiput. I'm from Thailand. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you for that. Great. So also we have Christine Gabriel Lassa from the Philippines. So she's currently doing her MBA in London. Christine, where are you?
Hi. Yes, I'm in London. I'm on campus right now, and that's
Oh.
why I'm wearing this funny face shield. Nice to meet you all.
Great, great, thank you. But wait a second. I don't want you to think this is just MBA students, right? We have a lot of master students joining us. So actually, we have Shaira Garcia. She already earned her master's in international business last year, and she's currently doing her dual degree option in international marketing at Boston. Shaira is originally from the Philippines. How are you, Shaira?
Hi, everyone. I'm doing good, and it's a pleasure to have everyone here in this session. I hope you guys are able to, learn a lot from us and have a good time as well.
Great, thank you for sharing. And of course, last but certainly not the least, our alumni. So first, I would like to introduce, our Halt recent graduates. For example, we have Jihan Sultan. She's from Indonesia, who graduated from her master's in international marketing in Boston, actually, last September. She now actually joined Prada's business development team. That's amazing, Jihan. How are you today?
Hi guys, I'm good. Nice to meet you all.
Great, thank you for that. And of course, finally joining us is Kimber De Castro. So she actually studied her master's in international marketing from Boston, and she's originally from the Philippines, but she's currently based in New York, pursuing her mass marketing career in the cosmetics and skin industry. How are you doing today, Kimber?
All good. Hi, everyone. Good evening.
Great. Well, thank you all for joining and welcome to the panelists. So how we're going to do this is we have a few fixed questions that all of our students asked before. So I'm going to be asking these, but then afterwards, I'm just going to leave the floor open for you guys. So maybe first things first, I would like to go, maybe a question to our panelists would be, can you tell me maybe why did you choose Halt at this specific time? Like anyone wants to go first?
So I can go first.
All right, please.
Yeah, so the reason why I wanted to study at Hult is because I really wanted to gain a relevant and global educational experience that will position me in a more competitive work landscape. So in my case, I actually took my bachelor's degree and it was a pre-law course, but because of my 3.5 work experience that was focused more on corporate relations, marketing and operations, I really wanted a holistic and a more unique educational experience that would really transform my mindset as well as my career, pivoting from learning from different people, different cultures, different values and innovation ideas. So because of Halt's programs and what they offer from their curriculum, it really catered to my intended goals, and that's the reason why I chose to study in Halt.
Ah, that's great. Anyone else? All right, then let's go to another question then. So this one is actually for those who are already in campus. You know, like Masaki, for example, Pawarisa, Christine. Like, what is it the most thing you like about Boston or London, for example?
Yeah, okay, I go first.
Okay.
I really like Boston simply because it's a beautiful city with lots of nice classic buildings made of old bricks and stuff. And I also like Boston because there are lots of. Do you hear me now?
Yes, yes, I can hear you. Sorry, yeah, we're just unmuting someone. No
Yeah,
worries.
yeah. I really like Boston because there are lots of nice parks where you can play with your kids. Because I live here with my wife and son.
Hmm.
So yeah, I often go to the park with my son on the weekends. And the other reason for me to live in Boston is there are some supermarkets where you can buy Japanese foods, Asian
Okay.
foods. Yeah, because I cannot live without Japanese foods, Asian foods is the best, right, in the world.
Oh, thank you
Yeah.
for sharing. What about
Mhm.
you, Parisa? Why did you choose Boston as well?
Okay, I have to disagree on Masagi. Thai food is the best. No, I'm
Okay.
kidding. Okay, the reason why I like Boston because Boston is a very beautiful city, like Masaki mentioned. I love fall and the spring seasons here. They both very beautiful. My favorite season, and also as you know, Boston is known as a great education city with so many schools, and so this the city is very student friendly and also very easy to get around, and also the Hult Boston campus is very conveniently located, which is very close to North Station and the Green Line. You can walk from the campus to the Green Line maybe less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And like Masaki mentioned, there is a lot of park. Also, on the Boston campus, there is the park named the North Point Park. It's very beautiful
Okay.
during the fall. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you for sharing. What about you, Christine? You're in London right now, so tell us a little bit more why you chose London.
Yeah, so like the other people in the Boston campus, I love this place because I like cold weather. I like how diverse the city is. I like how there's so much to do despite things being closed, well, on and off closed because of lockdown. Also, I like that, you know, you're in Europe. So hopefully when things open, you can easily travel across the other European areas. And yeah, it's just a really cool city. There's just so much to do, and you get to meet so many people here, actually. Inside Halt, outside Halt, it's really up to you how you make your friends, but like, there's just so much to do. So it's fun.
Oh, definitely. Well, adding to you, I also did my master's in London, so I would add to that. One thing I found very interesting is that you would assume because you're in London, the most common language you will hear is English, which is crazy. It's not. Like, for
It's not.
example, I'm Colombian, so like I speak Spanish, and I was surprised that I heard more Spanish than English in London, and that's how crazy it is, right? It's all about the international diverse, and yes, I think it's great. Same for Boston, of course. Boston is the capital of education as well, so I'm assuming you guys hear all kinds of languages, which is beautiful. So thank you for sharing this. One question that's been asked a lot, and then I think that's very important to ask because it's really is what most of the audience right now are wondering, right? Like, so what is it really like to study right now at Holt, for example, at this time, with COVID? All of you have different experiences by now because some of you are in campus currently, some of you are actually did the hybrid classrooms before, and actually some of you are also doing the limitless learning and will be joining soon. So, like, my question is, for example, what made you realize that? Maybe anybody wants to go first?
Okay, I can go first.
All right.
For my experience, it's a little bit difficult, but it's not that difficult
Mhm.
because right now we have two co-hosts. One is people on the campus, and the other one is the people on Zoom. So right now, for the Zoomer, we call them Zoomer. They they often complain about they don't get enough attention from the professor. Like
Okay.
The school try to solve this problem by have them have their one-on-one session with the
Okay.
professor after class, in case they have an issue about the learning or any question that they didn't have a chance to ask the professor during the class, so they can ask professor direct, which is good for them. And for myself, I have two options, which is like someday my seat don't assign in the same room with the professor. I can
Okay.
zoom into the class from home. So I think it's good for me because I have to commute. So
Okay.
it's very convenient for me, and I feel safe when I go on the campus because the classroom itself has to be clean after each section finished, and the building itself is also very safe. Yeah.
Okay. And how do you feel in general? Like, do you feel safe? How do you feel the security is in campus with COVID right now?
Yeah, I think it's very safe because the campus has like 24/7 security guard, and also like every time when you have to go in the building, you have to use your student ID to go in. They
Okay.
don't allow the people outside, like not student or the faculty or staff get in without their ID card. It's very
Okay.
safe.
Okay. Perfect. Great. What about you, Christine? How's it in London? Can you tell us more about how the security, or maybe how are the class schedules be like in London?
Yep. So here in London, it's like half limitless learning, and the other half are also on campus. And when you're on campus, there are some classes that require you to book your slots for the
Okay.
seats in advance, and um, it feels very safe. Actually, to answer your question, they're very strict on the PPE, so you
Okay.
have to wear either a face shield or a mask. And then George, I don't know if you remember George, but he's like a really nice, friendly security guy who polices
Yes.
people who don't follow. So they're very strict on it. You feel safe on campus.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so there's less people on campus, but it still kind of feels somewhat normal.
Okay. So
Yeah, it's great. So it's an adjusted way of learning, but we get by. Yeah.
okay. So what about the group work? Because like part of the experience is all about networking and group work.
Yeah.
How's the group work in London right now? Like, are you able to meet with your team members and stuff?
Yeah, so actually, it's kind of a challenge for some classes because maybe half of your team is virtual and the other half are
Mhm.
on campus, and sometimes there can be tech issues or it's just hard to coordinate sometimes with the schedule as to when everyone is available. But I think it's a good way to stretch yourself because I mean that's how real life working is, right? Like especially now
Yes.
with COVID, if you're employed, like you have to be remote, you have to adjust, and you have to deal with whether or not they're here or
Hmm.
they're virtual. So it's good actually. Either way,
Okay.
it's still a stretch.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing it. Really. Anybody else wants to add something? Maybe you, Masaki. Like, is there anything that you felt, being right now in Boston as well? Have you felt anything differently? Do you feel how is the interaction with the professor, for example? Have you had any? Can you hear us, Masaki?
Yep.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah.
Sorry, what was the question?
No worries. I was asking because, like, do you have any comments on how you're doing with the COVID situation right now in campus, for example? How is it? Because I know you have a family there as well, but are you being able to also have some group work? Are you being able to interact with the professor? Do you feel like it was a good choice you made?
Yep. Yeah, I think Boston is pretty like safe place, and you know, like you can take like COVID tests every month
Hmm.
at Halt campus, which makes
Okay.
me feel comfortable. So
Hmm.
it's a pretty safe place, I think. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Thank you for sharing. Really, one thing I do want to ask, and I think that that's for everybody as well. I think it's really important because I know a lot of people are also asking this question. So you knew from the beginning, right, that this student journey you will have, it's going to be different, right? Let's not say different. Let's say unique. This is a unique situation worldwide to study at this time. So like maybe can you share with us, all of you, because I really want to hear everyone's journey here. Like, can you share with us and with the audience as well? What made you decide, that this is it, like, well, this is now or never? Like, what made you say, you know what, I want to go pursue my MBA and masters in 2020 no matter what were you considering as well? Like, what was the considerations you took when you decided that you were going to make it and then you decided not to move forward, for example?
I,
Anybody wants
I
to
can go,
start?
Riyadh.
All right, please, Christine, let's go.
Uh, yeah, long-winded answer. Again, fun fact is I almost deferred my studies, and
Yes.
Riyadh knows this, and he helped push me to just take a leap of faith. But what made me decide to pursue higher education is because I was honestly feeling so stagnant with my previous job that I've been with for 6 years. And I was trying to look for opportunities in other companies, but it wasn't really happening, or I just, I couldn't find the right fit for myself. And so I decided, right, I'm trying to steer away from hospitality industry. I want to be in the tech industry now. So I think sharpening my skills, enhancing
Mhm.
my business acumen. What better place to do it in an international community, a good business school with a lot of good people with good industry connections.
Mm.
So apart from that, what made me decide to study now despite COVID was um, everything is uncertain, and so like you have to still push yourself to keep growing despite external factors that could hinder you, or make you feel like, okay, I'm just going to be stagnant, I'm just going to go with the flow. But then again, like, that can, I think that could do a lot more damage if you just sit there and do nothing,
Yeah.
and try not to learn. So yeah, that's the reason why I chose to study at Halt in London.
Yeah.
I still don't know, what the future holds. Hopefully, I find a job after, and just being busy with so much here, I hope that opens doors.
Oh,
Yeah,
hopefully.
it's exciting. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's one thing we discussed, right? We know before you were wanting to defer, that's one thing we mentioned, right? This is uncertain everywhere. Like, it's not just like right now in Boston or London or San Francisco. This is uncertain also in Asia, in Europe, and Latin America, and so on, right? And it is now or never to study. I agree because we don't know how long this is going to take, and if you're going to keep postponing, like you said, if you postpone every year your plans, who knows what happens next? Oh, well, thank you for sharing this. What about you, for example, Paulisa? What made you decide, you know what, I really want to do this year?
Okay, for myself, I have been planning to pursue my MBA for several years already,
Hmm.
which is I left my job from PricewaterhouseCoopers three
Hmm.
years ago and came here in Boston to study my English intensive class at
Hmm.
Boston University. That's why I choose the whole Boston campus as my home campus. And I to be honest, I almost give up on coming here to pursue my MBA because of the COVID pandemic and also the travel restrictions. And my flight was canceled for 5 times.
Mm.
I
Wow.
I feel so stressful, and also like I think I thought I couldn't make it here, but finally I'm here,
That's
and
great.
I don't want to wait any longer to postpone or defer my study because I'm getting old already. And the reason why I would like to study this year because I also would like to broaden my perspective and to get more connection. That's why I should to study MBA because MBA can build up my connection in the future and it's gonna be my advantage in the future in my work career.
All right, thank
Yeah.
you for sharing. But what about you, Shara? Because like your story also so interesting. You were doing already the MIB before, right? And then with COVID, what made you decide I actually want to continue with my dual degree for?
Yeah, so for my first degree, the reason why I actually decided to pursue my master's, I also had like reasons similar to that of Christine's. While I was doing my work experience, there was some point that I really felt that, everything was stagnant, and I really felt that I can do more and I can really push my limits. So that's the reason why, you know, might as well take a higher education on a different country where you're really able to challenge yourself by like really dealing with people, because they say that working with different people is challenging. I agree with that, but actually working with different people that have different cultures, values, and beliefs is where the real excitement comes from and where the real challenge comes in. And this is actually where I was able to push myself beyond the limits and the confinements of myself personally. So it's also more than the educational experience that I was able to get from my first degree. I also had that personal fulfillment that I really wanted. And of course, that everything was, pre-COVID. But, when this unforeseen circumstance happened, everything really changed. And that question of, do I really want to continue this, or would I rather just go back home where I feel more comfortable, where I'm more close with my family? Those questions really crossed my mind, and I kind of like had this standstill if I really want to pursue things or not. But as Christine and the others reason are, it's really more of like, you don't want to like one day wake up and kind of like ask yourself, why did I not choose it? Like, you're already here, so might as well, push yourself and really continue on what your dream is and what your career path is. So it's really more of that. It's more of like a personal fulfillment, and it's really an individual decision for myself to continue this. And right now everything is really going well. I mean, it's not comparable in terms of like last year, but that's the thing about Halt. They were really able to transition really fast in terms of the hybrid and limitless learning. And for me, that's really something that incoming students should really consider and really make the most of their career endeavors and like pursuing their higher education.
Yeah, actually, can you tell us more about that? I wanted to ask you because you're the only one right now that you were there when before COVID, and then January
Yeah.
came, it was still no COVID there. March came,
Mm-hmm.
COVID happened, and then now you're doing the dual degree. So how was it? How
Uh-huh.
was the difference?
I mean, in terms of the transition, so when the COVID thing began, it was around the time of our summer elective. So everything was everyone, like
Mm.
all of the students here in Boston, were waiting for like announcements. Do we, is it a time for us to like really come home? We don't know like the news and everything. But what Halt did was that they transitioned everything to online classes. So all of the electives were transferred online. Everything was seamless. The online facilities were really good. I would say that the educational experience wasn't compromised. And in fact, it was kind of an interesting experience because even though you're not physically in the classroom, you still had that feeling of, oh, we're a global community and everyone is still connected. And yeah.
Okay, that's nice. Well, I'm glad to see that you lived it, because then it's a story to
Yeah,
tell
for
at
sure.
some point,
Mm-hmm.
and that's great.
Yes.
Well, what about you,
I
Masaki?
think,
What? Yes.
yeah, I think my situation is a bit different from other
Okay.
students because I am a company-sponsored student, which means
Okay.
I'm going back to my company in Japan
Hmm.
when I finish my MBA.
Okay.
So yeah, I really wanted to finish my MBA program during this year. So like 1 year MBA program was like my best choice.
Okay.
So if some of you in this meeting thinking same thing, I think the 1 year MBA program is the best choice.
Okay.
And I'm 39 years old now, so I wanted to finish before I get too old. Parisa said she's getting old, but I think I'm one of
uh,
the like I'm one of the oldest students in MBA class in Boston.
no, I don't think age has to do with it, but yes, I definitely agree with you. But I'm happy you're there, and as long as you're enjoying it, that's what
Yeah.
matters. Well, I'm happy. This question, this is the last question I'll ask before I'm opening it to the questions for the others. But this question, I would say, is best answered by our alumni themselves. So, for example, Kimber and Jihan, maybe if you can zoom in here and tell us, it would be great. So, can you tell us how is the employment landscape right now, especially that you're there? Also, you both managed to get a job offer during the pandemic as well and before. So, maybe can anything unique that you guys did, any job strategies? I want to know more about that journey as well because it's really interesting to see.
Yeah, I can go first. So like, um, I will say that it's not easy, but
Mhm,
it's not impossible. Like for me, I was able to get an internship during
mhm,
the summer, so it was like great because not a lot of people was able to get an internship during the summer, but I made it. I got an internship, and also when I graduated, I want to find a job. It's hard, of course, when you cannot actually do the face-to-face networking, but you can push it through using social media like LinkedIn, and you can like approach to the employer. It's still there's a lot of way. Like I was able to get hired by Prada right now, and it's like very amazing for me because a lot of people like want to get a job, and it's it's like it's not impossible. Like there's always a way. That's like what I can say.
No, that's great. Well, congratulations, actually, because it's hard everywhere as well. So like for you to be able to get a new job, that's amazing. So very congrats on that. What about you, Kimberly? Kimberly, you've been 3 years now in the US, right?
Yes, so
Yeah.
just to echo Gian, how Gian started, it's challenging to find a job, but it's not impossible. It really is up to you how much you want it. At least in my time 3 years ago, I had to make sure that I was present in different job portals. So I was passing on applications, but then you shouldn't just limit yourself into just job portals. It is also nice to do networking. It's nice to reach out to different recruiters. It's nice to do some informational interview. I think with Hold, it has a really diverse alumni. You can reach out to them, try to know what industry you're in, you want to be in. At least by that time, in a year or 2 years time, you would somehow know where you want to be, what industry you want to be. And at least with a global rotation program, I'd say, which I was able to utilize, it could really help you if you know that you want to be in a certain city. Somehow, I guess you can really maximize on that part. If you want to really focus in this industry, then that's a good thing. Another thing that Hulk really offers, and which has really helped me a lot, would be the career advisors, and which I think, at least on a weekly basis or at least twice a week, I was constantly in contact with my career advisor just to see how much I could really up my possibility of getting employed. You have to have a really good, let's say, your LinkedIn profile, or you have to have a really good resume, which Halt also offers. They have to like do some reviews and really, but apart from all that, it's really up to you to do the work. You really have to want this. If you really want, I mean, it's very challenging, but if you have the will, and you have to do the work, and you just need to do the extra effort.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. Thank you for sharing this. And yes, I totally agree with you. It's all about how badly you want it. And as long as you make every effort for it, you'll make it happen. So, yeah, that's great. Thank you for sharing. I think I've asked too many questions. So, sorry for that. How about we leave the floor for you guys? Again, you can either unmute yourselves, you can put your video, but if you're also shy or you wouldn't want to, it's totally fine. Maybe you can write in the chat box and then I will read it out loud. It's totally up to you. Just take advantage of this. I think it's an amazing opportunity for you to ask everything, especially because, yes, we, the enrollment advisors, are here to help you, but they are in campus. They have had it before as well. They can help you a lot. So take advantage of this opportunity. Okay, there's a few questions in the chat box. I would go first, for example. Is anyone, if anyone can answer this, how are there interactive discussions between students and professors currently?
I can
Yes,
answer that.
please.
Right. So, how I mentioned earlier, we're doing half limitless learning and half around campus. So, like during class, when they try to combine everything in one session, we have a lot of breakout rooms and we do
Mhm,
interact. Yeah. So, if you're virtual, there's about like always usually like five of you in a virtual classroom. And
mhm,
then in that breakout room, the professor sometimes jumps in and joins your
Uh-huh.
breakout room, and then after that, like, you end up discussing after a certain period of time. So it's despite,
Mhm.
you know, despite the not having everyone present and it's not the same, it's still very interactive and collaborative, which is really important. And it's realistic, right? Like with how we work today anyway. So
Okay.
it's good practice.
That's great. Okay, that's amazing. One of the students is actually asking, how are the professors like? For example, how are the Hult professors? You know, for those who are actually right now, or even it could be also for Kimber and Shira and Jihan, because you all have the experience. How are the professors like at Hult right now? Like any specific professor, or like I would say like someone you really liked, like it's like you said, okay, this is my professor. Like I love him or her. Do you have any examples?
I can answer that question.
Okay.
For myself, I feel like the professor at whole are very diverse. Like for example, right now I just did 4 courses, which is like one of them from Spain, one of them from South America, and other two from the US.
Hmm.
And my favorite class right now is accounting because I am an accountant. That's why I enjoy it the most. And the professor is very well, how can I say, is very good in teaching and very good in describe some like for the case study. If they can interpret something very difficult to make you guys understand, is very easy. And for
Hmm.
me, I love how they have the real people from
Hmm.
the real job that teach you the real experience and share knowledge to you. Yeah, from my perspective.
All right, thank you for sharing, Parisa. Another question could be, for example, what is the biggest challenge you experienced during your MBA? If there was any kind of challenges at all, anybody had any challenges during your master's or MBA in general?
I can answer that question. At
Yes,
least
please.
I'd say that one of the biggest challenge was really transitioning and really we know that we're going to halt because of the diversity, but then it's also very challenging to deal with different cultures. But in a way, it's a learning experience because you know that you're not really familiar.
Hmm.
At least for me, I came from the Philippines, so I've been really used to just dealing with my own same similar cultures and values. But then at least with Halt, you have to somehow deal with different cultures, but then learning from them is also a good process. At the same time, I would say that in terms of the learning landscape, it is challenging, but it's in a good way. It's very it's a diverse setup, so at least to add to that, it's more of a learning process between your co-students, the professor, and even within you. So you really have to make sure that everything go well together. And I guess in that challenge there's always that way on how you would take it to your advantage. And then with you don't really, it's an ongoing process, so you have to always try to strive and really, at least for your modules, learn what always try to be prepared in class. And then just not just being in class, you have to also make sure that it's not just about learning in class, but you take the experience out of class.
Yeah, that's definitely agree on that one, and thank you for sharing. Now, another question from Daniel is, so how did you find your accommodation? Is it convenient to take public transportation? So I know this can apply for different Boston and London, so please, whoever wants to go, that'll be great.
I
Masaki,
can I can answer that.
yes, please. Okay, go
Oh
ahead.
yeah, yeah. During my program, I stay in Halt House in Boston. It's amazing. I feel like I like that place because it's clean and like it's like right in front of campus, so it's very convenient. You don't need to commute. And during when COVID started, and then class starting to be online, so like help manage us so we can like stay in the campus, so still in the Halt house. It was
Okay.
like it was really like a lucky for us that we don't need to leave US, so we can still stay there. Meanwhile, like all the student from Harvard, from like all the campus in here, they send student home, and
Okay.
we can still stay in a hot house during that time. It was like great
That's so
that
that's
Halt
nice to
can
hear.
manage that. Yeah.
Mhm. That's great. Yeah, well, Holt House is actually newly built last year, so it's actually fresh. So that's great. That's nice to hear. What about you, Masaki? Like, because I know like you're with your family. How did you find accommodation? You know,
Yep.
knowing that you have your family with you.
Okay, I live in Cambridge, and
Okay.
it's about like 10 minutes walk distance from Hull.
Okay.
And yeah, I found my apartment through a leasing company.
Okay.
And
That's nice.
yeah, I wanted to live somewhere close from Hull and also close from the station.
Okay.
And yeah, I think if you live close to the subway station, I think you can go anywhere in Boston, because
Yes.
Boston is not really like big city, and it's really uh, easy to go anywhere.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's
Yeah,
beautiful to walk as well, right? It's very
yeah.
convenient. Like, with the cold, like you don't even sweat, so it's actually great. That's
Mm.
great. Thank you for sharing, Masaki. There's also a question from Ayan. So the question is, what was the most memorable class for you? So this could actually be either Jihan Kimber, because like you guys are the ones who already graduate, but also can work on Shira because she already had her first degree. So what was the most memorable class?
I can share one. So like we have one professor, her name is Arande. I think Shaira, we're in the same class with her. She
Okay.
was like really, I would say like not mean, but she pushed us to the limit. She want us to grow. Like she want us to just like do it. And then like the first thing we was like, oh my God, like she was like really, really mean to us. But like at the end we love her. We just like give her feedback after classes. We need to give a feedback to the professor, and everyone's like ended up liking her, like while before we was like, oh my God, she's very mean and stuff like that. But yeah, she pushed us, like keep pushing us, like even like uh, while doing like online
Mm.
classes, she was like when we are maybe on the phone and not looking at the camera, she always like, if you don't want to be here you can leave, like stuff like that. So like it's
Wow.
really great. You can learn a lot like from her.
All right, that's great. That's great to hear. Thank you for sharing. Another question from John. How was the transition like the first few months? So, like for example, was it hard? Maybe if so, like what tips can you give so that it doesn't affect your performance at school as much?
I can go for this question.
Yes, please.
Okay, for our first few months that I was here, I kind of like a little bit homesick, but
Okay.
there is the dean. Her name is Mary.
Hmm.
She's super nice, and you can talk to her for everything, like every single thing, personal life or whatever the course curriculum or the program. If you have any single question, you just go to her and
Okay.
tell her what she always gives you very good advice. And like for example for the Thanksgiving, she even
Hmm.
like sent us the recipe for cooking the turkey and
Okay.
tell us where to go for a weekend or what activity in the city that you can join. That very useful and very lovely. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Thank you
Is
for
it
sharing.
possible to add to that?
Yes,
To what
please.
Cody.
Of
Yeah,
course.
so I would say one of the things, like when you come here to Halt, one of the things that you would really notice is like how Halt is creating all of these diverse teams, because based on your, like previous education or work experience, they kind of like group you together. And this would probably be one of the things that you would notice, and it's going to be it's not really hard, but it's very different, especially depending on which country you come from and how your educational discussions really go from your country. So here a tip that I can give is don't be afraid to speak up, because and don't be afraid to kind of like share your work experience or even your educational experience, because this is going to be your standpoint and this is going to be your benchmark on how you're really going to market yourself, whether it's like a work experience back home or if you're planning to work abroad. So it's really more of like speaking up and getting out of your comfort zone.
Yes, that's true. Thank
Can,
you so much.
can I add that a little bit? So
Please, that's
like
the idea.
at yes, by the at the end of the program, I think like you will grow more empathy towards people. It's like amazing how much you learn from other people, because it's, I will say that it's not easy to be in a group with the different people from different background. It's especially when it's online, you need to work with them like virtual, like maybe different time zone, stuff like that. But like at the end, you grow, and then you will have more empathy towards people, and that's amazing, kind of to have that type of feelings in with you. Yeah,
Okay.
that's like yeah.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing, Jihan. There's a question from Nutawari, actually. I think this one, Shara, you would be the best to answer because you lived both. So this question, it's just easy. Was it possible to rotate to other campuses during this duration? Because you were there.
Well, I would say pre-COVID, yes, it's really possible. I would suggest to like really make the most of your experience for your health. Really consider doing the global rotation. Well, in my case, we weren't able to do that because all of the unforeseen circumstances were happening, and because Halt was really focused on making sure that the students were secure and safe and less risk. So we decided not to push through with it, and Halt decided to kind of like refrain the students from doing global rotation. So at that time, everything was canceled. But I think for the incoming students right now, since everything is like protocols and everything is being regulated right now, there really is a possibility for the incoming and prospect students to do the global rotation, and it's really something that you should consider because you would get the most of your health experience by going to different campuses because campus cultures are different from Boston from that of Shanghai or Dubai or even London. So yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, so for those who don't know, like Shara had the actual transition from start to now. So she was doing
Yeah.
a no COVID, Boston MIB first. Then January, February, March, COVID happened. So went
Mm-hmm.
completely online, and then Halt switched to finally being able to do both at the same time. So now she's doing the dual
Mm-hmm.
degree. So yeah, it's true what Farah said. The dual degree rotation actually was maybe not possible at first because it was new, right? That was last year, but for this year and onwards, hopefully it's doable because all our campuses are now open, and it's safe to say that, with taking cautious, the governments were allowed us to actually open
Yeah.
campuses. So yeah, thank you for
Mm-hmm.
sharing this one. This one I think is going to go maybe also for the alumni. This is a question from Jennifer. It says, hello, how is the campus culture and how did Hold, for example, and the program itself help you with your own personal growth? So, like maybe Kimber or like even Jihan, anything you would like to share?
Yes, so at least I would say that the culture we've all been emphasizing on cultural
Mm.
diversity, which is a really good thing. And in terms of personal growth, I would really say that Halt helped me to really get out of my comfort zone. At least prior to coming here, it's always about, I thought I was okay, but then I realized I wanted something more. And at least when I was in Halt, what I did is it's going to be up to you on how much Halt would influence you. So Halt would just be there. We have amazing professors, we have amazing programs, we have amazing subjects, but then there are also activities outside of the classroom. And at least during my time, I really had to really take that opportunity. I joined hackathons. I even attended a hackathon that was held here in New York. And there are other events, there are other programs and activities that you could really join. So if you're up for the challenge, if you really want that personal growth, then you have to really be proactive in joining those activities, in joining those programs, and not just focusing in classroom activities.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Thank you for that. Actually, there's another question from Kuretaka. So it was like, "Hello, this is Kuretaka. Does Hult have many case studies in class, or are there any theory classes? I just want to know, like, what kind of mood is with the group. Like, is it more in Boston? So maybe like I don't know, Parisa or Masaki, can you share about this one? Like, is it more? So the question mostly focuses: is it a lot of business cases, as they say?
Yes, I can answer this.
Okay.
I have to say that every single class there is the case study and the group work. which
Hmm.
is very challenging, but it helps you grow your mindset and try to get out of your comfort zone and build up your how can I say brave to speak up and share your personal experience to the group, to the teamwork, which is the first time when I joined, I feel a little bit culture shock because in Asia culture, we always like have the professor and listen to the lecture. We never have the group discussion. But if you come to Ho, you're gonna get a lot of group discussion and group work. Believe me, you're gonna love it.
Thank you for sharing. I do want to say there's a few questions about San Francisco campus. Just to answer this one, unfortunately, right now it's like 5 a.m. in San Francisco, so we weren't able to have the students there to enjoy and to join able. But for those who are interested in San Francisco, are going to San Francisco next year, just reach out to your enrollment advisor, and then we will actually put you in contact with the current students or alumni working there, so at least you can have more of a taste for that. Also, there was a question about Dubai. Same thing. We didn't have, unfortunately, today being able to join. There's a holiday in Dubai, so students were traveling. But for those who need also for Dubai, please feel free to ask, and we will be there to help you with all the process. Let me see. Okay, so there's a question from, so for example, from Ayan. So what did you do? How did you prepare, for example, for the interview of Halt? So I'm assuming that's the assessment interview. So any of you can actually answer this one. How did you well did you prepare for the interview? Were you nervous as well?
I can take that.
Okay, please.
Yeah, thank you. So, from what I remember, I was very nervous actually.
Yes, you were.
And from what I remember, it was very much like a job interview because they would ask you questions like, tell me about the time that you had to deal with conflict and what did you do about it. Also, there was another tough question. Uh, if you were to implement a change in a company, like how would you implement this change, what would you do? So it's just it really stretches you, and this is just like an assessment interview, so I'm like, wow, didn't expect I was applying for a job.
Yeah.
But sorry, Ariad, what was the other question? How was the
No, no, no,
interview
no. It
like?
was just yeah, it was just mostly about that in general. It's
Yeah,
just like more about how was the interview. Well, that's good. That's great.
yeah,
Like
it's very
we can.
practical.
Yeah, well, I remember how shy you were. I would never forget.
Yeah.
I do want to say though, I can take just one more last question from the audience. Unfortunately, we're running late. But again, as mentioned before, if you have any questions whatsoever, you can always just reach for the enrollment advisors, and we can help you out. So this last question, there's a lot, but I'm gonna choose this one, and I think Kimber, you'll be the perfect one for it because that was you 3 years ago. So it's a question from Ayan asking, what are the tips to find jobs in the US?
Yes, so I could give a lot of tips, but first is really to be you have to really be patient. You have to really be resilient and you have to really want it. Apart from, you have to be in several job portals. I guess especially now you have to really utilize LinkedIn,
Mhm.
monster.com, all those platforms. And then you also take advantage of your career advisors. Hult offers that. And, they would help you to really curate your CV depending on the industry and job that you want. Also, you have to do some informational interviews, make use of your resources. We have a lot of alumni. We're here to help you guys. At least if you have questions regarding your industry, the city that you want to be in. And then you also have to really be you have to be brave. I mean, there would be a lot of rejections. At least for me, I can't even remember how many CVs I've passed just to land a job. At least my internship before and then my job now. It's been a really long journey, but I mean, it's not impossible. So,
Yeah. Thank you for
yes.
sharing. Yeah, it's definitely look. It's one thing I always tell the students. It's one thing we discussed even with Christine last year. Like one thing you should know is that Halt is gonna really open so many doors to you. But it's up to you to either go outside, explore, or just stay in and just watch from the window. So yes, take all advantage you can. And I agree with Kimber. I remember my year as well. We applied crazy, crazy, and then in the end, it's really resourceful if you really take advantage of it. So from now, unfortunately, we do are late. So like we ran out of time. I do believe that hopefully this session was a bit informative for you guys. Really thank you to our panelists like for sharing their unique perspective and experience. And really also hope that their stories in general will allow you to make an informed decision about your future. And hopefully they inspired you to follow your dreams. So now, if anyone has any follow-up questions, please, or would just like to speak with us privately, just feel free to message us, and we will let you know for sure and help you out. So honestly, thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, and I hope you have a great day for those who are starting in Boston, and a great night for those who are in Asia. And of course, Christine, great afternoon. All right, you guys stay safe, and thank you so much for joining as well. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.